What's good? Here's Russell King here. Today we're going to be discussing the recent episode of NXT. We're going to jump right into it. First off, we got Noam Dar versus Dijak. This was a really great match. I really enjoyed this match. This felt like a PLE match, to be honest with you, but you have Dijak, Noam Dar, who is also a very good wrestler. You're going to put on a fantastic match. Noam Dar ends up picking up the victory via interference from one of his members of Metaphor, the least important member. I don't know his name, but it's the guy with the dreads. Ends up winning through distraction. Dijak got distracted by him. Noam Dar ends up hitting. I forgot what move he ended up hitting, but he ends up hitting a move, picks up the victory. This match got set up last week, I believe. I didn't review it because I didn't think it was going to happen because last week Dijak ended up approaching Noam Dar. He was offended by what they did at Stand and Deliver. I think Noam Dar was mocking Dijak and how he acts. Dijak alluded to if he tries him again, he's going to have a match. I didn't think they was going to have a match because he said do it again. Noam Dar didn't get a chance to really insult Dijak or anyway, so I didn't think they was going to have a match. But nonetheless, they had a match. It was a really great match. Kind of wish Dijak picked up the victory, but at least he lost through interference, so that kind of protects him. But I'm going to move forward because there's nothing more to really go off this match. Not really a story there. But next up, we got a Tatum Paxley. She had a little vignette, and I really love this vignette. I'm really loving what Tatum Paxley is doing. I love her character, this over-obsessive psychopath type of woman that she's playing. But she finally reveals why she was doing what she's doing, why she was so obsessed with Lyra Valkyria. Turns out that she was obsessed with the NXT Championship and not obsessed with Lyra Valkyria. She ends up saying that she once loved Lyra Valkyria, but she said once she lost the NXT Women's Championship, she no longer loved her because she was in love with the championship, not Lyra. I love that explanation because I was always curious to why did Tatum randomly just start wanting to protect Lyra and wanted to be so obsessed with her, but she was obsessed with the championship, not Lyra Valkyria. She talked about how she's not the regular girl, how when she grew up, as she was growing up, she never really fit in. She wasn't the type of woman that played with dolls and all that, how she never fit in school and all that. And she ends up revealing that, saying that now that she don't love Lyra no more, Lyra's in her way, and she's in her way of getting the NXT Women's Championship. Really love that vignette. I'm really loving Tatum Paxley's character. I love the heel turn they did with her. I'm really enjoying what she's doing, and I can't wait for that eventual feud to really, start up because they're eventually going to have a solos match out at some point. Next up, we got Sol Ruka versus Lola Vice. This match also got set up last week, which I was kind of confused by because it's kind of similar to the Dijak situation where it wasn't enough for me to review because I didn't think they was going to have a match. But basically, Lola Vice was basically complaining backstage in the locker room. So Ruka gave her opinion on the matter. Lola Vice didn't like it, and that's basically what it. I didn't think that was enough to have a match, but they ended up having a match. The match was decent. It was all right. So Ruka is actually pretty solid in the ring. I'm really enjoying her in-ring work since her return. But they had a match. It was decent. Lola Vice ends up picking up the victory after Blair Davenport ends up interfering, costing So Ruka the match. This was payback for So Ruka costing Blair Davenport her match, I think last week or 2 weeks ago, if I'm not mistaken. I forgot who she faced, but I know So Ruka did the same thing to her. But they're going to have a match at Spring Break-In because after the match, So Ruka was angry. She talked to Ava, and she said that she wanted to be a no disqualification match. So we're going to get that at next week's Spring Break-In, which I'm very excited for. Can't wait for that match. Next up, we got, after the match, Lola Vice, after she wins the match, Natalia ends up start talking through the Titantron, and she basically says she wants to face Lola Vice at Spring Break-In in an NXT Underground match, which I'm excited for, but I'm also not because I don't know how that match will go. I think that match can be good because Natalia isn't bad in the ring. She is older in age, but she isn't terrible in the ring. She can put on a good match if you give her someone that is also great in the ring, she could put on a good match. Lola Vice, I'm still mixed on her in-ring work because she's not bad. I think she's solid, but I don't know if she could carry Natalia into a great match, but I could be wrong. But that should be interesting. Next up, we got one of my favorite segments, one of my favorite things in NXT is Ariana Grace and Gigi Dolan. It was a little pre-recorded tape of Gigi Dolan was sitting on the bench. Ariana finally trying to get that opportunity to have that complete makeover of Gigi Dolan, trying to turn her into this princess woman. Basically, have a sit down. Gigi Dolan, of course, is not really feeling it. She's just trying to stick to who she is. Ariana Grace is trying to change her into a better woman, to this elegant, fancy princess that Georgina don't want to be. But Ariana Grace, trying to, make her into a better woman. That's what she's trying to do. I'm really loving this. It's a very goofy, silly angle, but I love things like this in wrestling. Sometimes you need those goofy, silly things in wrestling. Wrestling shouldn't always be serious, but little things like this I really love. But this was a very good segment. Next up, we got Ridge Holland and Joaquin Wilde. Nothing really to go over this match. They end up showing something through the security footage where Ava and Ridge and Joaquin was talking. Joaquin must have said something and Ridge ended up choking him out. So that's how this match started. During the match, Shawn Spears was out there and he was out there just watching. And so and Ridge Holland ends up picking up the victory. And then after the match, Ridge Holland walks by Shawn but ends up shoving him. Ends up, hitting his shoulder against Shawn's shoulder. So it looks like they're still building up that Ridge Holland, his inner demons, his darker side is about to come out, and Shawn Spears is going to bring that out of him. I'm not really finna go that deep into it because I don't think none of us really care that deeply about Ridge Holland, no offense. So, yeah, there's nothing more to really go over. Next up, we got Josh Briggs and Ivar. They had a little backstage thing. Josh Briggs talking to the medical doctor. He was talking about how it's hard for him to breathe, how every time he tries to do a little extra movement or try to work out, it's hard for him to breathe. The doctor said he said something in a very sarcastic way. He said, yeah, that's actually normal for a guy who has 2 broken ribs, which I thought was funny. Ivar pulls up, ends up saying that, giving him advice saying that you should take it slow, you should rest up, and then whenever I beat Obafemi for the NXT North American Championship, you will get first chance at me. Josh Briggs, for whatever reason, doesn't like that. Don't understand why. Basically, he says that they end up setting up a match that whoever wins gets to face Obafemi, basically. We already know that Josh Briggs is not winning with 2 broken ribs. But Josh Briggs was actually doing some good comebacks at Ivar. He ends up saying that you need to, because Josh Briggs, of course, didn't like that. He ends up saying you need to go back to Raw and get beat up by Sheamus again. Then he ends up telling him to take off that vest and put on your Viking gear. That was hilarious. I love Josh Briggs has some pretty good comebacks, and we already know Ivar is not losing to Josh Briggs with 2 broken ribs. But next segment, we end up getting Andre Chase and Thea Hale. They end up they end up making up. Andre Chase ends up admitting what JC James said was true. He basically ends up saying that he had a lot of faith in Thea Hale. He thought Thea Hale was going to pull off history against Tiffany Stratton. And he believed in her, and that's why he made that bet. And he ends up saying that she will always come first, and that how he really, basically he loves her. He loves her and always going to support her. Thea Hale ends up apologizing for treating him so badly, and that she shouldn't have treated him badly, that she wished she would have known, about the whole situation, and that they end up hugging it out, and they end up making up, and now they're on good terms. Next up, we got Tony D'Angelo. He cuts a promo, wasn't saying anything special. Got interrupted by the No Quarter Catch crew. No Quarter Catch crew interrupts him. And then I forgot exactly what Charlie Dempsey was saying because he was the talker of No Quarter Catch crew. Tony D'Angelo ends up saying that you guys came to my family to take care of one of your own, which is basically alluding to Drew Gulak, I'm assuming, because he's not on TV for some allegations. Basically, he ends up saying that you guys came to us to take care of one of your own. He ends up saying because you didn't have the guts to do it yourself. Then it was a sequence where Charlie was about to admit what they did to a Pacific person, Drew Gulak, but Tony D'Angelo ends up saying, do not get into specifics. Charlie Dempsey kept on trying to get into the specifics of what they did, and Tony D'Angelo and Jenny Sachs ends up saying, don't get into specifics. I love that they're really playing up into this like mafia gangster boss, like they really like went out there and like eliminated a person. I really love that. They're really not trying to catch a case. I really love that. But then Tony D'Angelo ends up, I think alluded, yeah, Tony D'Angelo ends up saying that you guys call yourself no quarter. Well, I never got a full quarter. Where's my payment? Charlie Dempsey is confused because he's like, I didn't know we had to pay. I thought you was just doing it for the good of the business. They're going back and forth. Then Luca Crucifino ends up saying that you're either going to pay the family or we're going to handle y'all. Charlie Dempsey is like, we're not paying. Then the other member of No Quarter Catch Crew, I forgot. I don't know his name. I don't really know his name because they really don't give him. They really don't give him any lines. They really give majority of the stuff to Charlie. He ends up saying that we're not paying anything. Tony D'Angelo interrupts him saying that no one was talking to you, which is true. No one was talking to you. That like it's between Charlie and the family. Everyone else of No Quarter Catch Crew, no offense, are irrelevant. And then Tony D'Angelo ends up alluding to the Heritage Cup. He ends up saying that you could give that up for your payment. Charlie Dempsey is saying there's no way I'm not allowing no low-hanging, low-class gangsters to basically take my championship. Tony D'Angelo saying we weren't no low-class gangsters when we needed to handle your Drew Gulak situation. So, which is true. We weren't that when we needed to handle that, but when it comes to giving up that championship for payment, now we're gangsters and low class. But of course, Charlie Dempsey, he cares about that Heritage Cup. He don't want to give it up. Then he ends up constantly refuse. Tony D'Angelo takes off his jacket, and then we go into a brawl. And now we're going to have a 6-man tag at Spring Breaking, which is, I'm not that interested in it. I like Tony D'Angelo. I love the family. I'm not really interested in No Quarter Catch Crew. I think they have potential, but the only person I care about is Charlie Dempsey. The other two, I'm not really that interested in. But it wasn't bad. It was pretty solid. It was a decent segment. But we'll see what happens at Spring Breaking. But next up, we got Ilya Dragunov. He has an open challenge. Ilya Dragunov is in the ring. And this open challenge is basically whoever the first person that enters the ring gets to face him. That's how the open challenge starts. You got like 30 guys from backstage come to the ring trying to get in the ring. They're all fighting each other, which is very weird because all of them was fighting towards like the front of the ring instead of just going around where all the action was at, and they could have just went on the side or the back, but they decided not to do that. But I know why, because they end up doing this very cool sequence where Javon Evans, the only smart guy, came from the back of the ring where everyone was fighting in the front. He came from the back, did a springboard maneuver, jumped over Ilya into the ring, and we got your match. That was a very cool sequence. Javon Evans, man, he is amazing. His bounce, his high flying is amazing. He is really good, bro. Like, he reminds me a lot of Ricochet, and he might be better than Ricochet. He might be slightly more high. Like, he might be better than Ricochet because his high flying is amazing. Now, Ricochet is great, so I may be jumping the gun, but Javon Evans was amazing. And this match was great. You had some very cool sequence. Like, it was a sequence where Ilya Dragunov was doing a spinning clothesline, then Javon Evans caught it into a Spanish fly. We had another sequence where Javon Evans went for a high springboard, but Ilya caught him in the air with a chop. Like, this was amazing. Ilya Dragunov, of course, picked up the victory. Of course, he wasn't going to lose, but this was amazing. Javon Evans is going to be great. He's going to be amazing. He's definitely going to be amazing in the mid-card for sure. Main event, not really sure because, we haven't seen much character. But to be fair, he only been on NXT for 2 weeks. But he's definitely going to make a very great, like, mid-card guy for sure with his high-flying skills. But also, I really do. His selling in this match was amazing. Like, he was selling every Ilya body slam. Like, every move, every suplex Ilya did, he was selling it, man. He did amazing. But I'm going to get into the next match, though. That was a very great match. Next up, we got Thea Hill and Tatum Paxley. I was very confused at first to why this match was happening at first, but then it got revealed towards the end of the match. They put on a decent match. Um, Thea Hale was about to finish Tatum Paxley off. She was going to do a springboard. Jasmine Nix ends up interfering. The ref was distracted. JC Jane ends up sweeping Thea Hale's legs. Tatum Paxley ends up picking up the victory. Then afterwards, Thea Hale does a suicide dive onto JC Jane because she's, of course, mad that she just lost. They start going to a brawl. Security comes out. Then literally like during while that's all going on, Lyra Valkyria comes out, attacks Tatum Paxley. They're having a brawl. So you got JC Jane and Thea Hale brawling, and Tatum Paxley and Lyra Valkyria brawling, and they're all going at it at the same time. Security got to break them all up. Really good stuff. Building up, the each feuds that's going to go into spring break-in. They haven't confirmed JC Jane and Thea Hale for next week, so I'm assuming they're going to hold that off. Or maybe I'm tripping. Maybe I just missed it. But building up those feuds, I really love that. Great. Those was great segments. Next up, Roxanne Perez. And Roxanne Perez, basically laughing it off, basically enjoying, the chaos of Tatum Paxley and Lyra Valkyria. And then Roxanne Perez had to get a little smart, had to get a little too arrogant, and talked about Ava, the general manager. Every time she tries to talk about Ava just makes her life more difficult, and that's exactly what she did. Because Roxanne was basically talking about how it doesn't matter who she faced at spring break-in. Ends up saying that she ends up alluding to both of them having a match to face her at spring break-in, and whoever wins that can face her, at the upcoming pay-per-view. And then she ends up saying, wow, Ava's job is so easy. I don't know what she's complaining about. Then Ava pops up and she ends up saying, you just made my job more easier. How about instead of it being a one-on-one, now she makes it a triple threat between Roxanne, Lyra, and Tatum Paxley. Roxanne, of course, doesn't like it, but Ava said, well, my job was easy, right? And then Roxanne just keeps setting herself up every single time. Every time she talks about Ava just makes it more difficult. Now we're going to have that match for next week at spring break-in. I don't think, of course, Roxanne is not losing that match. It's a triple threat for a reason. It's going to be a sequence. Most likely it's going to be a sequence where Lyra and Tatum, they're going to fight it out or something, get into it, and then Roxanne's going to pick up the victory some heel type of way. But that match should be really great. I'm very excited for that match. Next up, we got AOP versus Idris and Malik Blade. I'm not going that deep into this match. This was okay. Authors of Pain ends up winning. After the match, Axiom and Nathan Frazier came out, so it looks like Authors of Pain are going to face them for the tag team titles, I'm assuming. So that should be interesting, but nothing more, nothing less. I'm not going to go that in depth into it. Next, we got Ariana Grace and Gigi Dolan. We're back at the segment from earlier. They're in the clothing shop with a bunch of dresses and clothes, and they're going back and forth. Ariana Grace, of course, is trying to convince Gigi to think more like her and to accept her more girlier, her more elegant side. Gigi is like, that's just not her. Ariana Grace gets excited. She picks out a dress for her. Gigi Dolan wasn't feeling it, but then Gigi Dolan ends up convincing herself, ends up saying that she'll wear the dress. But I knew once she likes the dress, I knew she was going to do some modifications because she looked at the dress, ends up smiling, ends up saying that she was going to put it on. She ends up closing the door, and then she comes out, and she was pulling that dress off. And she ends up doing some modification. She ends up cutting the dress a bit. She added some black to it. I forgot exactly what she did, but I don't know exactly what it's called, but she ended up adding some stuff to the dress, and the dress looked really good on her. It looked really good on her, and I really love the segment. She ended up taking the dress home. She ended up loving the dress, and then Ariana Grace ended up paying for it. At first, Ariana Grace didn't like it, but it seems like Ariana Grace was happy during the end because she had no problem paying, and she had a big smile on her face. So, really love that segment. Really love the silly goofiness of it, but really enjoy that. Ariana Grace is doing some amazing work, and I'm really loving what she's doing. Can't wait what's next for her. Next up, we got Ivar, Josh Briggs to see who's going to face Obafemi. Josh Briggs has the two broken ribs. He wasn't going to win. They put on a decent match though, but Ivar ends up winning. He ends up doing his signature moonsault, picks up the 1, 2, 3. Not much to go over. Josh Briggs was not going to win. I'm assuming they're going to write him on TV for a bit and then return later on, because if he has two broken ribs, he shouldn't be wrestling. Don't know how he got cleared, but hey, it is what it is. Now we got the main event: Trick Williams versus Carmelo Hayes. This was a solid match. This was a solid match. They was in a cage match. I do feel like the cage kind of limit them to a degree, but nonetheless, this was still a very good, solid match. We had shenanigans with Melo's team. Melo's one of Melo's security guard ended up giving him like a what is it they end up giving him one of the police officer sticks. I don't know what, I forgot what it's called, but they end up giving him that. Starts hitting Trick Williams. Then we had a sequence where the security guards try to climb over the cage, but Trick ends up eliminating them. One of the security guards get in the ring, tries to hit him with a steel chair. Trick Williams ends up avoiding it, and then ends up I don't know if he did a super kick or whatever towards the security guard, but he ends up taking him out. Then Melo ends up getting the steel chair, tries to hit Trick with it. Trick ducks it, and then Trick ends up doing a flying knee to the face with the steel chair. Ends up picking up the victory. This was a very good match. This is the build up to of course, to Trick finally dethroning Ilya, dragging off at Spring Breaking. That's gonna be amazing. I can't wait. Definitely gonna make a predictions video of that, but that should be a very great match. But this was a decent episode of NXT. Nothing too major happened, but this was a very solid, decent episode. But what did you guys think? What did you guys think of this episode of NXT? Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. But yeah, that's it.